What agenda? Yeah. I don't think they're that hot of commodity. I think
That being so. How long have you been here? About a month. You'll know shortly, Mr. Clark.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Grosse Ile Township Board of Trustees, June 23rd. Again, we are in open session. We were in closed session previous to this to discuss settlement, and we will hopefully resolve that later this evening. But we do remain in open session. Let's continue with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. We do have a full board present. We can conduct business as the agenda indicates. At this time, I will, and this will be a busy period, requesting additions or deletions to the agenda.
Mr. Supervisor?
Mr. Treasurer.
I would like to make a motion to add action item 8, which is a change order to the roof repair for the east side of Hangar 1.
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss, seconded by Trustee Smith. Discussions on adding action item 8. None offered. Those in favor of adding action item 8, the roof repair for the east side of Hangar 1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be added. Continuing.
Mr. Supervisor,
Trustee, Mr. Pozas.
I'd like to add as action item number 9 the authorization to install the water fountain, the drinking fountain.
Okay, moved by Trustee Pozas. Support. Seconded by Clerk Ranka. Discussion among the board regarding the installation of the water fountain. Okay, with none offered, those in favor of adding action item 9, installation of the water fountain, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be added as action item 9.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Pozas.
I'd like you to add as discussion item number 1 the purchase of a Husqvarna P2 60-inch mower with funding to be determined from BPAC and DDA funds. This is a discussion item.
Okay. Moved by Trustee Pozas, seconded by Trustee Smith, that we'll add a discussion item, the purchase of the mower. And I see one more on the request list.
Yes, sir. Final item, adding as a discussion item number 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I neglect to take a vote?
You did?
Those in favor, going back to the request to add discussion item 1, moved by Trustee Pozas, seconded by Trustee Smith. The discussion item on the Husqvarna mower, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That will be added as a discussion item. Now, where was I?
Finally, discussion item number 2, a resolution to adopt the Complete Streets Policy, a review, a discussion item.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Pozas, seconded by Trustee Smith, as a discussion item, the Complete Streets Policy. Any discussion among the board?
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, I would like this actually moved to the next meeting. It requires some research and some information. We haven't had enough time to look into it, even to discuss it, I don't think. And I just like to, I don't see the need to, rush it along today and just have it moved to the next meeting.
Mr. Supervisor, may I answer?
You may.
This is put on as a discussion item. I appreciate an individual opinion, but it is the decision of the entire board as to the merit of this procedure or this resolution. I remind you all that this is not binding and doesn't cost the township anything. I want to introduce it to you tonight and give you that very time that you request to review it further. It has been out for months.
Well, the discussion can be as detailed or as short as the board deems appropriate based on what we know. Other discussion, comments? Those in favor of adding as a discussion item number 2, the complete resolution to adopt the complete streets policy, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have a dissent from Trustee Budney. Otherwise, the motion carries. That will be added. Mrs. Smith?
Oh, yeah, I would like to make a motion to add a Island Fest recap report by Chairman Chad Novak.
As a presentation. Support.
As a presentation.
Okay, moved by Trustee Smith, supported by Trustee Budney to add the presentation on Island Fest. From the chair, Mr. Novak. Discussion among the board? Okay, if none offered, those in favor of adding a presentation, the Island Fest recap, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That will be added then as a presentation. Any other additions, deletions to the agenda? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered, the agenda stands amended. With that, we'll move on to the scheduled presentations. The first presentation, I'll invite our good friend, former trustee, Mrs. Frucci. No stranger to speaking to the township.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here as a board member of Keep Michigan Beautiful. My husband and I both serve on the board. And I nominated a guy from Grosse Ile, name is Terry Eifert, and he received a Distinguished Service Award for several projects that he's done. And he wasn't able to attend the award ceremony we had in Ann Arbor, but I thought it would be appropriate to present it here at the township board level. And you can meet this fine gentleman. He's a very hard worker, and he was responsible for taking that slope there at the county bridge, and it was weed grown. And he trimmed it, he used all his equipment that he had, and the county wouldn't even handle it because it's so steep. And unfortunately it grows back, but he has a plan to tackle that project again. He's also put a drainage area in the northeast corners so that the water doesn't gather there. And he's trimmed the trees there at the four corners on the, would be the west, northwest corner. And so he's very active when he's on the island. He has a home here, but he also has a home in Maine, so he kind of splits his time. He also brought some small trees back from Maine and was kind enough to go over. Sue Palmer lives on the little parkway, and when the county put in the drainage ditch there at Four Corners, they cut down all the trees by Sue. It used to be a buffer there between her home and Parkway. So that's another piece of work that he did that I thought was worthy of notice. We planted those trees a couple days ago. Since he divides his time between here and Maine, he's here until till next week. But I brought the plaque, and I thought you'd like to meet this fine gentleman. And I also have nomination forms for, if you know of any project that's worthy of notice, Keep Michigan Beautiful Awards, projects that beautify, that clean up, that keep Michigan clean and green, historic preservations. We've gotten several here on the island for the Garden Club, for their tree, not the trees, but the baskets of flowers. And so if you know any project that's worthy of being nominated for a Keep Michigan Beautiful Award, I do have forms here. So I'd like you to meet, and I will give...
Please introduce Mr. Eifert first.
Terry Eifert, please come forward.
Mr. Eifert, do you come to Michigan to warm up, or is this your warm weather vacation? I'm just...
Yes, it is.
Well,
Warm weather.
welcome back.
This island has a bridge. Our island doesn't have a bridge, so it makes it much harder in the winter.
This is the plaque. This is the first time he's seen it, so...
Okay. Well, for what you do for Grosse Ile Township, making this place just that much more attractive, Mr. Eifert, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I really appreciate it. I'd like to qualify my acceptance, though. I'm very honored that I received this certificate. It singled me out. However, I'd like to also mention, as appropriate, to consider the entire IBC team who worked with me. I had volunteers also to help me out. And I'm accepting this award for all the team, not just for me. And I do also apologize for not getting back to the bank and trimming it out again. It's grown back, but I got ruptured my Achilles a couple of months ago, so I'm not supposed to be on unlevel ground until I heal. So I'll get back to it when my leg lets me. So thanks again.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for what you've done for Grosse Ile. And, well, Pam, make sure we have access to those forms, and let's try to get it out to the public. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good for this community. As I said, my reflections on Island Fest, just how nice the township looked, and it just looks better every day. So again, for your efforts, and Pam, the Beautification Committee, Garden Club, everybody who's planting flowers and trimming their yards, thanks. Thanks. All right, with that, good stuff. Mrs. Smith, I'll have you introduce the next presentation.
Sure. I'd like to, at this time, call Chad Novak up to the podium. And Chad is the chair of the Festival Commission, and I'm sure he's going to wow us.
With some visuals right there, because that's what they're going to see at home. Good evening, everybody. I want to give you a little bit of a wrap-up for Island Fest. I was told by Miss Gray to keep it short, so we made $68,000, we spent $58,000, so we have $10,000 in the bank. That's my presentation. Now, that's pretty much what everyone wants to know out there. So I worked close with Ann and Lauren, and that's, there's about 10 grand sitting in the bank. We did fall a little short on our sponsorships, which we will pick up next year. I was kind of surprised on that, but everybody had record numbers. The carnival, the wristbands, the car show, where there's still a few things out there to be paid and to be paid to us too, but it's all looking good for next year. You can find all that in the expenditures and expenses, right? That's public knowledge, everybody wants to know. Island Fest for 2015, we're going to do Friday, May 29th, the 30th, and Sunday the 31st. It's the weekend after Memorial Day, and it's also the weekend before graduation. And then in 2016, it does fall back to the first weekend in June, which are what the old bumper stickers used to say, if anybody remembers those. So. But if you sign up with your vendor application by September 30th, you're going to get your space and your fee locked in for 2015. It's something new we're doing. So vendors, food people, get it in by the end of September, and you're guaranteed a spot for Island Fest 2015.
And Chad, that was application and payment.
And payment.
And payment.
It's got to be in there. Okay. Wednesday, July 16th, we are going to be broadcast live for our festival meeting. I know we've been in a lot of request to see our group, our commission, and who these people are that take this on and did such a great job. And with that, we're going to discuss the centennial celebration in depth at that meeting. Don't yawn, Dale. That's not polite. Okay, a few things about the centennial celebration, though. Saturday, October 11th on Macomb Street is the focus. We will showcase the island in a whole, but we're trying to do something special up there on Macomb Street for everybody. I pounded the pavement recently and talked to a lot of people everywhere from Fifth Third. We pretty much are going to have the band shell. Carol Knopp said she would help us focus on the marketplace at the Township parking lot over there. Possibly a car show in the post office parking lot where the entrance to the playscape is, VFW. We know where that's going, so we're going to wait on that with the chili cook-off probably. Macomb Commons, an art show with nonprofits. And then we would appreciate if people might focus to parking at the high school. We're going to have transportation to get them up and down Macomb Street with several stops for October 11th. There will be a test later. That one there. And then hopefully, I was thinking we can get a little map of this. So we have something to pass out, because at Festival we got a lot of requests for things like that, and Lauren, I know you're working hard on that, so this is a prototype of something I thought we could do with the transportation. I want to give, and then we have a Gray's Ghost. It's a performance by Mr. Mark McPherson. It's going to be on the 12th, Sunday the 12th. Time to be determined yet, but presumably at the Pilot House. So that's going to be on Sunday. Everything else is Saturday. Final shout-outs, Julie Cordes, great. Bridget Hurst, she was new this year. Nicole Feeney, 2-year resident. She's the best secretary I worked with. No offense over there. You're taking those minutes. Woody Clark, you give him a task and he does come through. I was going to wear my Woody Please Sit Down t-shirt, but I forgot. Bill Moreau has the hookups all through town. Dave Zulu, Ian, you're like so much. And Lauren, I know you thank the police and the fire and all that. So, Tim, I don't know what to say. I just want to say thanks. You've taught me so much in the couple of years that I've worked with you. So thank you for that. James, Mike, and Tim, and most of all, Barry Gillen, for your constant support, dedication, and keeping my sanity in check. Thank you. Any questions?
No, but one comment is,
right.
With the revenue that's, we had from this year, what we do and what we did with last year's revenue was we reinvested those funds into Island Fest this year to improve the experience and the layout and the look. So that's what our plan is to be doing, going forward year after year.
And next year, for Friday Night Fireworks, we want to bill it as Southeast Michigan's largest fireworks display to kick off the season. You'll all find out more about that. And we've committed to 50 infuse already, I can tell you that. So,
Great job.
all good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. Well, with that, I'm going to, unfortunately, I feel a need to change the direction a little bit. We're just notified today of the passing of Mr. Robert Buckley, who had served on numerous townships, committees, commissions, just a hard worker for over 25 years, volunteer service to Grosse Ile Township, Cable Communication Commission, Election Inspector, Public Works Commission, Public Service, Solid Waste Disposal, the 2000-2001 celebration just passed. The details will be at Martinson, so the details on services will be posted at Martinson. But at this time, I'm just going to ask you to keep Mr. Buckley's family in your thoughts and prayers. He was missed. He served us well. And Bob, thank you. With that, that concludes our presentations. At this time, we'll open the microphone to public comment. Limited to agenda items only, please. And you know the rules. Name and address if you choose to opine or comment on the agenda items. All right, if none offered, gone. All right, with no public comment offered, we'll move into, we have no hearings. Move to the consent agenda. Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 14-051, which includes the minutes of the June 9th, 2013, 14 2014 regular meeting. Approval check register dated June 20th, 2014. Approval AT&T Metro Act right-of-way permit extension. Approval of WOW Uniform Video Services Local Franchise Act. And approval of fireworks permit for Wyandotte BASF fireworks June 27th and 28th, 2014.
Support. Oh.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Us, and I guess I was supported by Trustee Budney. He was the loudest.
Yeah.
Any discussion on the consent agenda among the board? None offered. Those in favor of approving the consent agenda as published, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. The consent agenda stands approved. With that, we'll move to the agenda items, and we'll open with the Hangar 1 Award.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid award by environmental remediation of the east side of Hangar 1, based on the recommendation of the Air Force Airfield Commerce Park Commission and Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Commission, and the Grosse Ile Board hereby authorize the expenditure of $57,390 plus a 10% contingency fee of $5,739 from the Brownfield funds for the environmental remediation of the east side of Hangar 1 pursuant to a bid from Rand Environmental Services Incorporated.
Okay, we have the motion, second by Trustee Bundy, and the basic motion, and I guess ready to turn it over to our Airfield Commerce Park Manager, Mr. Duker. Take it away, Mr. Duker.
Basically, this is our second round of bidding. The first time around, we only received one bid and decided to rebid the project. We did receive 3 bids back. One was from Rand Environmental. The other was National Environmental Group, who I believe did the actual abatement here at Township Hall, and BDS Environmental. You'll see in the motion, BDS Environmental was the lowest bid, but we received the bid a day after we closed. It was FedEx, but we decided not to accept it because it was tardy. So we moved with Rand Environmental, the next lowest bidder. There was a pretty close, pretty small gap between National and Rand, but ultimately Rand did win the bid. Again, this will come out of our brownfield funds, not our retained earnings. I think that about sums it up. It will mitigate any environmental remediation needs inside the building, totally remove the gun range, any mold-contaminated items. Pretty much is going to give us a clean box.
Who was the only bidder on the first one?
Rand Environmental.
Okay.
Other questions, comments? I understand again, I caught the large gap in the bids, but I know we have familiarity dealing with Rand. I think they've served us well in the past, and if you want to if you set your limits, I'll honor them anyway. Other comments, questions from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of approving awarding the bid to Rand Environmental Remediation for $57,390 plus a contingency fee of $5,739, all from brownfield funds, for the remediation of the east side of Hangar 1, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered? Good. We have Rand on board. Thank you, Mr. Duker. Mr. Modesto.
There's a second here. Mr. Supervisor, based on a recommendation of the Grosse Ile Township Fire Marshal to grant a fireworks permit to Mark Valazzi, which is the Wolverine Fireworks Display Company,
provide a public fireworks display, on July 4th, 2014 through the raid date of Saturday, July 5th, 2014. And this will take place at the Grosse Ile Yacht Club.
Okay, moved by Trustee Modesto and supported by Treasurer Van Os. Let's see, we don't have a fire marshal here, but we do this every year, And Mark Balzi is the Commodore, the incoming Commodore for the Grosse Ile Yacht Club. Wolverine has, I think they used to shoot for Island Fest years back, but with the fire marshal is the expert. If he recommends approval, that's about all I need to. I'm certainly not going to question his judgment. Other comments from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of granting a fireworks permit to Mark Balzi, fireworks to be shot by Wolverine Fireworks Displays, to provide a public fireworks display on July 4th, 2014, with the rain date of July 5th, 2014. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered. Good. Hopefully a nice, safe shoot. Let's see, moving on to action item number 3.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of limited tax general obligation refunding bonds series 2014 and authorize the finance director to take the necessary action to issue and sell and deliver the bonds.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss. Seconded by Trustee Bundy. And I think he's going to turn it over to the Finance Director.
Can I add?
We do have one line to add to the resolution. And before we vote, this line will be added. Thank you. And that line will be, well, here, you're introducing.
And it would be to appoint Dale Riem as chairman and Ann Delmack as treasurer to the Grosse Ile Trenton Utilities Authority.
Okay, so that clause will be so added to the motion. All right, now, Mrs. Tarzan.
Good evening. So basically what that was is we have some bonds that have been outstanding that we've sold over the years, and we'd like to actually refund them, or in other words, we call it refinance them. Mm-hmm. Basically what you do with your home, we're going to end up doing with some bonds. And I have brought tonight our financial advisor and our bond attorney with us, and they'll tell you a little bit about the refunding and have any questions that you need to be answered. And the names are Pat McGowan from Miller Canfield, Paddock and Stone, and Ryan Mazinski from Mazinski and Company. And they're here just to tell you a little bit about what's happening and if you have any questions.
Good evening. I'm Pat McGowan from Miller Canfield. I'm the bond attorney. Our firm has worked with the Township for a number of years on various financing issues, and I prepared the resolution, which is the action item before you tonight. Real briefly, as Ann summarized, this is really an attempt to take advantage of low interest rates in today's market and refinance bonds that the Township issued really over a period of time between 1997 and 2006 for a variety of capital improvements, water, sewer, road, DDA projects, and take advantage of lower interest rates today and achieve a lower cost savings to the Township. The resolution, one of the other things and the other piece of this is that 3 of these 7 bond issues were actually issued by the Grosse Ile Trenton Utilities Authority. That is a joint municipal authority that the Township established with the City of Trenton a long time ago, back in the 80s, to issue bonds for water and sewer projects. That really isn't active anymore, but in order to again, save money, it was decided to consolidate those bonds into this one as well, and so it's necessary to appoint them to that board so that they can take action with that board to call in those bonds for early redemption as well. So the resolution before you essentially authorizes the issuance of bonds in an amount not to exceed $5.5 million, sets forth the form of the bond. The intent is to take bids from financial institutions and other purchasers, and then authorizes the finance director to award to the lowest bidder. We do have the ability to refund all or part of these bonds. Under state law, we can only the Township can only move forward with the refunding if it actually saves money after taking into account all issuance costs and other expenses. So if for some reason a certain bond or maturities don't save money by the refinancing, those can be removed from the financing so that what we're left with is a refinancing that saves money. And This is the only action item required at the Township Board level for this item. If approved by you tonight, that would allow us to move forward with the refinancing, taking bids, with the intent that we could have this wrapped up by the end of July to start calling in some of these bonds roughly a month or so later. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Benzinski to talk about the specifics of the refinancing.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Benzinski, as Ann introduced, and I'm from Benzinski & Company. We've been working with the township for about, I think, 25 years. Not me so much, but my father and grandfather. And as Pat mentioned, he does the legal side and we do the financial side. And because we've worked with you in the past on an ongoing effort to keep you guys informed and to inform you of these opportunities, we have reviewed the township's outstanding debt, and we did look at all the debt. At this point in time, the 7 issues that you have in front of you are the only bonds that are callable or callable with any economic benefit to the township. So by doing this, you would issue a new series of bonds to refund the 7 issues that are outstanding. By doing this, you would create some economies of scale. You don't have to pay your professionals, which would be Patrick and I, an escrow agent, and a couple other parties for minimal amounts. But by doing one issue, you're paying issuance cost on one issue as opposed to 7 different issues. Furthermore, because some of these issues are small, there's not a whole lot of opportunity to do them on their own. So by doing this, we've created some economies of scale. And long story short, we'll put together an RFP. We will send it out to many of the banking institutions that the township currently does business with to see if they'd be interested in buying it, as well as kind of what I like to call a proprietary list that we have that we've been building for over 30 years, which has several hundred different banks, institutions, and investors that may be interested in buying these as well. With that being said, as Pat mentioned, the only way you're going to do the issue is if there's a net present value savings to the township. Based on our current assumptions, and we believe these to be slightly conservative, we believe that the actual net present value savings to the township would be approximately $173,000, or on a nominal or actual cash savings would be $164,000. And that would be net of any fees or any costs that are paid. Just as when you do a new bond issue, you pay for the professional fees out of the bond proceeds. It's the same concept here. So when you compare the prior debt service to the new debt service, all those fees are included, so there's no hidden or any additional cost. And if we go out and the market changes, because obviously interest rate change on a daily basis, if we are unsuccessful in getting a bid that provides savings, or the savings do not warrant enough to proceed, we will not continue this transaction, and we will not bill or invoice the township for any of those fees. So long story short, you have an opportunity here to save money. If after we take the bids, everything meets the expectations set forth in the resolution and the savings are acceptable to the administration, we would award those bonds to the lowest bidder, and we would go from there. And if we are unsuccessful, there would be no charge to the township out of pocket. If you have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer the financial questions, and I'm sure Mr. McGow is happy to answer any legal questions.
Well, my first question is, interest rates have been depressed for some time. Is there a reason we waited until now? Could we have done this a year ago? I know we just refinanced some 3 or 4 years ago. Should we have done it? Could we have done this sooner? Should we have done it sooner? Is there a unique opportunity now, or why we're moving now?
Mr. Supervisor, you are correct. Interest rates have been low for quite a long time. At the end of last year, they did spike slightly due to the call dates and when these bonds are callable. There's something called negative arbitrage, which is when you invest the bond proceeds for the refunding bonds, they have to sit and do an escrow until the call date. Therefore, if you're paying more on the new bonds than what the escrow is earning, because obviously you can't invest your money and get a very high rate of return, you have negative arbitrage. Therefore, when we looked at these last times, which would have been about a year ago, there was not a real big economic benefit. There probably wasn't enough worth warranting to do this. So we did look at it. We did not run it up the flagpole of the administration just because the savings were not there.
Okay. Good to know. Other questions, comments from the board? I think they're all duly impressed. Well, with that, with no further commentary, let's see, I got to go back to the terminology. Those in favor of approving the resolution authorizing issuance of limited tax general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2014, and authorizing the finance director to take the necessary actions to issue, sell, and deliver the bonds, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Mrs. Gray, does this require a roll call vote?
I'm not 100% sure, but it can't hurt.
Let's do it.
So at this time, thank you. I will initiate a roll call vote, and I'll begin with Trustee Posiask.
Aye.
Trustee Smith?
Aye.
Trustee Budney?
Aye.
Trustee Malvesto?
Aye.
Mr. Treasurer?
Aye.
Mr. Clerk?
Aye.
Supervisor votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ann. All right, moving on. Let's see, the bonds. Time to Mrs. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I would like to make a motion to approve the Groziel Alliance for the Arts proposal to construct a 100th anniversary mural at 7737 Macomb Street, subject to LSL planning memorandum dated June 18, 2014, as well as the following conditions. Include a township representative on the contest committee. Alliance to consult with the township prior to any relocation of the mural. Prohibition on any commercial advertising or message. Mural shall be properly maintained and a square footage of sign not to exceed 175 square feet in area.
Second.
Okay, moved by Trustee Smith, seconded by Trustee Budney to approve the Alliance for the Arts request, and I guess Mr. Reno is going to fill us in on the detail.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As we had discussed at some of the previous meetings, they had a concept design that was proposed to my office by the Groziel Alliance for the Arts, and because there were some not so clear things in the ordinance, or should I say regulations not specific to a mural. We discussed it with the planning consultant, we involved the chairman of the planning commission and zoning board of appeals, and felt that handling it in the manner that we are, brought this recommendation to you, was the best course of action for this type. And we have here with us tonight Donna Hinson from the Groziel Alliance for the Arts, and I guess I'd like to invite her to come up and answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, Mrs. Hinson.
Hi. I'm not sure, first item that you said on that, the conditions, what was that?
Let's see, number 4. Go back.
Include township representative on the contest committee.
Okay. We are not going to have a contest. We've decided against that because of the time constraints. It would take too long to, put together a call for entry, then screen all these, screen entries, and then, have an artist, and then, do it. And there's just not enough time to do that. So we decided instead that we would like to do it internally, that is within our group and within the community of Groziel, use artists that are here. Anyway, but the other thing is we have also thought about some of the things that must have come up before. And one of the things that we would like to do, instead of painting it directly on the, we would like to make it on a large canvas of approximately 9 by 14 feet, and I'm not sure where that fits into 175.
175 gives you plenty of room.
Oh, okay. So anyway, our theory being that, and actually we had seen some examples of other communities that had done them on canvas. And one of the advantages we thought that there would be to this is that it could be easily taken down for repairs, or...
They can go back.
Yeah, whatever, kind of thing you wanted to do. And we can do it in another location. We don't have to have scaffolding or something for, the side of a building. None of us are really wanting to do that. So anyway, I also have a letter from Ray Bill that he, I put this here, right? I think you still can't see it, but he is giving permission, to do this on the side of his building. He's intending to provide some paint and necessary supplies.
For those trying to follow this, the address listed is Groziel Hardware. Ray Biddle is the proprietor, and it would be on the east face of the the hardware store.
Right. And of course, we're not going to be advertising anything. Our intention is that it would be Groseville-themed subject matter, something that pertains to the community, that has relevance to the community. It could be historical, or it could be, a scene from around here, or something that shows what people do here. We hoped to have that decision made, but we found we were a little too rushed to do that, and that it was hard to get 10 of our people to agree on one subject, let alone to get it done in that amount of time. So we need more time, of course, to make that decision. But we would like to have the permission to do it with the idea that it's going to be a Groseville-themed mural. This is going to be, it's going to have we're going to have a painted frame around it. It's going to kind of have an idea, a little bit different than some murals have been, you may have seen in different places. The program that the DIA has, where they take reproductions of famous paintings and they put them on the side of the building, just different places throughout the communities. Kind of taking off on that idea, except that they won't be reproductions of masters' paintings. They'll be a painting, original painting. So, are there any questions that you have for me?
I have one. First of all, will we see it, or will we be surprised at the unveiling?
I think...
I'm going either way. I trust you, Donna.
Okay, good. I think that we're going to unveil it at the Centennial Day thing.
All right. That's good reason to get a crowd together. Good reason.
Yeah. So we thought that would be fun and be kind of unveiled there. So, any other questions about it?
How long are you planning on keeping it up for?
I think we'd hoped that it would stay up, on a regular basis. The only thing that we wondered about was, with the winter, if that was too hard on the, like it took too hard of a toll on the mural itself, then it would be rolled up and put away for the winter and then maybe brought back out, seasonally. It's not really meant to be a temporary thing. But it could be. I don't want to say, I'm saying that the wrong way. I don't want it to be temporary. I want it to be ongoing, but it won't last forever.
And the beauty of being a canvas, maintenance is greatly facilitated by the ability to, or if it's no longer serviceable, we're not worried about overpainting, scraping, or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be easier for us because we would, of course, maintain this. And be responsible for that.
Any other questions for Mrs. Henson, Mr. Treasurer?
No questions. I just wonder who's going to reconstruct this motion.
When I read the vote, I'll read it without the first.
Is that the only thing that's going to be eliminated?
That it will not be done via contest.
Right.
I don't have any problem.
That's within the parameters of the motion, serves to achieve.
Mr. Supervisor?
Mr. Rogowski.
It crosses my mind that perhaps this mural could be placed inside of the hangar for the winter?
It could be, yes.
Would that preserve it from the elements a little bit better? That's an idea. It's the only place I know that's big enough to hold it.
Possibly. We'd be thrilled to have a place to put it.
It might look nice during Island Fest, too.
Yeah, because otherwise we have to find a place.
Yeah. All right. Other comments, questions for Mrs. Henson? All right, none offered. Those in favor of approving the Groseville Alliance for the Arts proposal to construct the 100th anniversary mural at 7737 Macomb Street. Subject to LSL planning memorandum dated June 18, 2014, as well as the following conditions, and these changed slightly. The Alliance to consult with the Township prior to the relocation of the mural, prohibition on any commercial advertising or message, Mural shall be properly maintained. Square footage of sign not to exceed 175 square feet in area. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered? That motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Henson. We'll move on to action item number 5. Mr. Bundy.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to make a motion to rescind the existing municipal civil infraction fee schedule.
Support.
Okay, moved by trustee Bundy, seconded by trustee Smith.
And the background on this is, as you may or may not know, we've been working on revamping our ordinance enforcement program, and as part of that, of course, we looked at the fines and the fee schedule or fine schedule and found that it was well outdated. Most of the fines on there actually are $20. A lot of the ones that would affect us would be $50, and also most of the almost all of the chapters that were alluded to in the schedule were outdated. So that whole schedule really put us in a bind as far as fining under this schedule. And so after talking to the township attorney, the suggestion was made that we do away with the fine schedule, and the code itself provides for fines, and at this time we would go under the code. I would offer, as I did at our study session last time, that if the board thought that they needed a schedule, I'd be glad to, put that together, rework that for us. But right now, that schedule was kind of meaningless, and yet, since it was out there, we'd have to go by it. So this is just to help along our ordinance enforcement program so we can get out there and get something meaningful.
Yeah, removing this existing schedule, which has basically laid fallow for years, removing it clears the way for a more meaningful fine schedule and methodologies to enforce our number of ordinances, zoning, blight, and any one of a number of them will be covered by
open space. There's a number of them on there, yes.
Other comments, questions for Trustee Bundy? This has been the result of a lot of work and a lot of research, so, and we're moving along on this process.
We are.
This is a very positive step.
Mr. Supervisor,
yes.
I'd just like to underline what you just said. Two of our fellow trustees did a lot of work on this, especially Lauren and Jim, and I know I could not have devoted that kind of time to it, so I appreciate very much what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Wally. Yeah, and it is a work in progress. We started Friday. We're under the pilot, if you will, and we're going to run for 6 months. So see what we come up with.
I'm sure we'll see results, and we need it. Okay, other comments, questions for Trustee Budget? If not, those in favor of approving the motion via this resolution to rescind the existing municipal civil infraction fee schedule, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Expound.
I can read it quickly.
By all means, we will read it aloud.
Okay. Whereas Section 1-10 Schedule of Civil Fines establishes Groseal Township Municipal Code allows for the adoption by resolution by the Township Board of Trustees a schedule of civil fines, and whereas Section 1-13A Fines and Costs designates civil infractions to a civil fine not less than $25 and not more than $500. And whereas the previous Chapter 80 as amended of the Groseal Township Municipal Code establishes a schedule of civil fines for violations issued under the Municipal Civil Infraction Ordinance, and whereas the Township of Groseal desires to utilize the fine structure under Section 1-13 13A. Therefore, be it resolved that the Township of Groseal hereby rescinds and repeals the schedule of civil fines previously established under previous Chapter 80 of the Groseal Municipal Code.
Very good. All right. One last sentence. Any other comments, questions? We've not offered those, and now, once again, we're changing an ordinance, so I think that does require a roll call vote also. So, armed with that knowledge, I'll start with Trustee Smith.
Aye.
Trustee Budney.
Aye.
Treasurer Van Oss.
Aye.
Let's see, Trustee Posiask.
Aye.
Trustee Malesto.
Aye.
Clerk Ranka.
Aye.
Supervisor Loftus, aye. Motion carries. Again, thanks for the hard work. We're just getting started. And I guess you're up next also.
I am.
Mr. Budney.
Just hang on here. If I lost my... Here we go. Here we go. Got it. Got it. Okay. Recommendation of action is recommended by the DPS Commission to award the chip seal bid sections 1 through 5 to Highway Maintenance and Construction Company in the amount of $274,887,000, accepting alternatives A and B, and to internally borrow $150,000 from the Drainage Fund for a 5-year period with an annual interest rate of 2% with option of early payoff.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss.
The background on this is as part of our DPS Commission program for this year. We've been wanting to do some test road work with chip sealing. We had a number of areas picked out, actually 5, and the total came to $274,887. We also, as part of our road projects, do some concrete work. The problem was the amount of money that we had to do these fell short. That's why we want to borrow the $150,000 from the Drainage Fund. Everybody knows roads are a big problem everywhere, and certainly they are here on Groseal. We want to take some affirmative action towards fixing them. We want to show the people of Groseal what we feel this chip sealing program will be a real plus for us, simply because of it not only makes our roads last longer, it's also much less expensive than tearing them up and reconstructing them. So we want to get that program. So that's the idea behind it.
Okay, questions, comments for Trustee Budney?
Jim?
Mr. Modesto?
Just 3 things.
Yes.
Just number 1, what is the, I'll expand. Number 1, what do you see the projected start date and finish date for this?
It'll start in August and be done relatively quickly. Chip sealing can be done real quick. I mean, to the point where you're driving on it almost immediately.
And I see that there is actually some milling of the road that takes place prior to the sealing.
You do have to take care of your roads and patch your cracks, and if there's some damage to the road, you have to fix that before you put the chip seal on. So that will be done. That's all part of the cost.
Then the last thing was, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of opposition because people are going to want to know, why not my road?
Well, and
this is, I understand this is a test.
It's this, and we will be having a town hall type meeting on this to explain it to the areas, certainly the areas that will be affected, but also obviously anybody else who will be able to come to this. We're doing it as a test to show what this will do, and in the near future, we have a larger program in mind that would take care of a lot of roads on the island.
Then lastly, this is going to impact where I'm riding my bike currently. Thanks, Jim.
Other questions for Trustee Budney?
I'd just like to make a comment. We've been fighting these road issues. Everybody realizes that Wayne County owns them, does nothing with them. Through a lot of diligent hard work by Trustee Budney and the DPS Commission, we feel that the only way we're going to make a significant improvement on the roads on Grosse Ile are through this chip seal program. We're hoping that it operates and holds up the way we've seen it operate and hold up in other communities. And I would just, we do have, we're so limited in the window we can do this that the commission decided that it would be smart for them to get as much done this year as possible. So I just want to commend the hard work that Mr. Budney, the DPS Commission, Bill Kostick, and everybody that's worked so hard to get this done. I think you'll find it to be a big improvement. And I think the big question, the big answer to the question, why not my road? Not every road is going to be eligible for this. If the road's in too bad a shape, we just will not be able to do this. The roads we picked today are eligible for it. Next year, they may not be eligible for it because the road deterioration would be such that that would have to be replaced. So I feel it saves a lot of money, and it's going to dramatically improve the traveling here on the island.
Yeah, just along those lines, Mr. Supervisor, to show you, we started on this last year and weren't able, because of the rains and everything, because there is a very small window of when they can do this. And one of the roads we picked was Ferry. Well, through now Ferry isn't eligible for it anymore. It's deteriorated to the point where they can't do chip sealing. So Ted was absolutely right. Not all roads are going to be able to have this done to it.
Okay, other questions and comments for Trustee Budney?
Just one more comment, Mr. Supervisor.
Yes.
The simple fact is that we have seen a sea change in the attitude towards how we're going to take care of roads that don't belong to us technically. We've accepted now the fact that we can stand and wish and throw temper tantrums and do what you wish. Wayne County isn't going to do anything for us. If we, as residents of this community, want better roads, that commission is aiming to make better roads for you. And I'm 110% in support of that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bozak. Mr. Modesto.
I'd like to say one more thing. Because of action taken by the Bike Path Committee last year to recognize, survey the bike paths, and then take action to have the major cracks sealed, it probably saved a large percentage of our bike path from this past winter, especially. I've been riding them quite frequently, and I'm pretty pleased with what I see. And what I'm going to compare this to is if we don't do the same thing with the roads, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And maybe it's a little late, but the fact that we are working, towards making these changes and improvements is going to save us money in the long run. So thanks, guys, really.
Any other comments, questions for Trustee Budney? All right, with none offered, those in favor of approving the award, the chip seal award, bid sections 1 through 5 to Highway Maintenance and Construction Company in the amount of $274,887, accepting alternatives A and B, and to internally borrow $150,000 from the Drainage Fund for a 5-year period with an annual interest rate of 2% with option of early payoff. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered. Didn't think we'd have any opposition. That's a great job, and looking for positive results. Continued program. That'll move us on to action item 7. which I will introduce. And the motion is to approve the terms and conditions in the settlement agreement offered by the Michigan Occupational Safe and Health Administration, MIOSHA, and that is appeal number 13-13073.
Support.
Okay, seconded by Clerk Ranka. Just a very quick recap, and then I'll invite our council to give us more information to the board and the public. The settlement mandates some corrections to some deficiencies, which we have abated, documentation of those corrections, a significant reduction to the fines assessed, and the emphasis of no admission of fault or liability by the township to any claim that any alleged violation caused or contributed to any accident, injury, illness, or death. Mr. Shea has been our counsel on this. He has been working for the last year and a little, put it in specific time terms, with MIOSHA on reaching a settlement amenable to both parties. And Mr. Shea, first of all, thanks, and secondly, would you like to bring the board and the public present and listening at home up to speed on what we've accomplished, what you've accomplished, what we've accomplished, and where we're going?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Board members, thank you for the opportunity to appear tonight and discuss with you the settlement offer that we have received from the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration stemming out of the accident that occurred back in January of 2013. At that time, the Department of Public Service was working on a repair to a water line, and with that activity, we had an accident. Mr. James Farrell was caught in a collapse of the trench that was being worked in, and he was rescued from that situation, but unfortunately, a few days after the accident, Mr. Farrell passed away. Almost immediately after the accident, the MIOSHA investigators were on scene, and they had done their due diligence as to what was the cause of the accident. They conducted a number of interviews. I was retained shortly after that time frame to represent the township, and we were involved in the investigation and some of the interviews that were conducted with Grosse Ile Township personnel. We were involved in I was involved in a closing conference with the MIOSHA safety inspector, and at that time he indicated to us what his recommendations were going to be to his bosses in Lansing at MIOSHA. Sometime after that closing conference, we received, I believe it was in April, a formal issuance of citations to the township. There were 4 citations. There were 3 serious citations and 1 willful citation. In light of the fatality, as is the normal practice of the agency, this matter was referred to the Attorney General's office for their investigation and consideration of the circumstances and any action that they thought would be appropriate from their perspective. That investigation lasted some significant amount of time, and that was the reason why we have not been able to come before you and present a settlement offer. And also, through our own efforts to investigate and understand the circumstances of the incident, we believe that negotiations for a settlement would be most likely in the best interest of the township. We pursued that strategy. I have indicated to the management of the township that I felt there were no contentious moments during those conversations and efforts, and we worked after the Attorney General issued its findings with the MIOSHA folks. These, by the way, were not in writing. It was a verbal communication as to the fact that the Attorney General did not want to pursue any aspect other than the MIOSHA citations or see that happen. So that once that was finished, we moved quickly to discussing settlement, and that was resolved in a formal presentation to management, and then with a review, management gave it consultation and inquiry as to each and every aspect of the provisions of the settlement offer. We were able to hammer out a settlement which resulted in a significant reduction in penalty from the original amount of $59,500 to a agreed upon amount of $29,750. There were provisions that went to abatement of any issues that were of concern to MIOSHA. Those abatements have occurred and are satisfactory from both MIOSHA's perspective as well as our action that we took. We've already taken some steps toward training, and management has looked to assignment of a safety director, at least on an interim basis, so that we can not delay any proactive response to MIOSHA or any action of concern that they might have. It is my recommendation, given my professional understanding of MIOSHA laws and regulations, as well as the difficulty of trying the matter with the expense that is attendant to that, that this is a proposal that I would strongly endorse and recommend to you at this time. I'm prepared to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, well, much of this we had discussed in closed session. We're moving, obviously we took no vote there, but it was a very informative session. We feel that this is a good settlement agreement. I want to expand one little bit. We did assemble the risk assessment committee, and it consisted per the Township Policies and Procedures Manual, and it consisted of myself as chair, assisted by Treasurer Van Us, who he's a former, very experienced, as the former liaison to the Department of Public Services Commission. Was also Trustee Bundy, who was the current liaison to the Department of Public Services Commission. We had our Township Attorney, Mr. Assorti. We had co-counsel, Mr. Albert Addis, who would be, if criminal case, who would provide defense in the event of a criminal case, and of course Mr. Shea, who is the recognized expert on dealing with MIOSHA. And I also want to thank Mr. Posiask for, first of all, getting us in touch with Mr. Shea, and for providing a number of safety training programs to the board to start initiating the abatement of the recommendations from the Appeals Division of MIOSHA. So this is a reasonable settlement. I think it's in the township's best interest, and the assessment committee agrees with pretty much, not exactly where we'd like to be, but it's a movement in the right direction and the ability to move on from here. So with no questions, are there additional questions for Mr. Shea from the board?
Mr. Supervisor, in closing, I want to express my appreciation in working with everyone, and Dale Ream especially. I worked with him very closely during the process of investigation and interviews, and I can't tell you how much he made my life a lot easier with the efforts that he put forth. And again, working with all of you that I have had a chance to consult with and look at these issues in very detailed fashion, so that we made sure that the best interests of the township were being protected.
Okay, well, it seems like there wasn't much happening over the last year. I think we were, about once a week we talked, and the assessment committee met numerous times in numerous places, looking after the township, and I think we're ready to move this along. I will be asking for another roll call vote. So with that, those in favor of approving the terms and conditions in the settlement agreement offered by the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the settlement agreement is appeal number 13-13073. I'll ask you for an aye or a nay, and I'll begin with Trustee Budney.
Aye.
Okay, Treasurer Van Oss?
Aye.
Let's see, Supervisor votes aye. Mrs. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Posiask? Aye. Mr. Modesto?
Aye.
Clerk Ranka?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. I want to thank one and all for making this happen. Allow us to move on.
Thank you, Mr. Super.
And Mrs. Kazoos, I will have a press release for you before the close of the meeting. Now, moving on to the late ad stuff, on to action item 8.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion based on the recommendation of the Airfield Commerce Park Manager and the Grosse Ile Airport Commerce Park Commission, and to the Township Board to authorize a change order for the east side of Hangar 1 roofing contract with Holbrook Roofing Company at a cost not to exceed an additional $51,525 plus a 10% contingency fee of $5,152. And I'll just go over it basically, and then I'll turn it over to Mike for any questions, but...
Okay, let's do a second. Support. Seconded by Trustee Budney.
All right. Basically, initially we had a severe leak in the hangar, or in the building. And it was pretty obvious that it was coming from a part of the structure that had been utilized and covered up over the years for a part of a tower entryway. It looked like that was the only area that was giving us problems. So we brought in the engineers, and we brought in several companies, and they bid on the process. The bids are in front of you. The original bids are in front of you. After opening up and taking off the decking, we found that what we thought was travel of water along I-beams and decking turned out to be a little more serious than that. And the thought from the contractor and ourselves, excuse me, that if we just went ahead and addressed what we initially contracted for, we would be chasing leaks for the next 20 years there. Wanting to save this building and make it and utilize it for the township, we just felt it was much better to go ahead and replace it now rather than put a lot of money in maintenance and uncontrolled leaks in this building. So basically, that's what this bid will do. It'll put a hole in the roof on that building. So if you have any questions, Mike's here. He's been dealing with the contractors.
Kyle, do you want to fill in on that commentary, Mr. Duker?
Pretty much this is going to give us a 20-year warranty TPO roof, which is a similar system to what we have here on Township Hall in the Hangar 1. Very similar system. We're familiar with it. It's basically going to demo the existing metal roof, and then underneath the metal roof there are 2 layers of coal tar roofs that are the original roofs on the building, so that will demo all 3 and give us a brand new roof on the structure and ensure it's watertight.
This, the east side of Hangar 1 has been something most of this board has been concerned with for years now. It's obviously been in disrepair. Our options were to either rebuild it, make it useful, keep it restored, and then maintaining the historic and utility, historic value and utility of Hangar 1, or to demolish it and just rebuild a new exterior wall. I always like the idea of maintaining the original shape of the Navy hangar. I think where we're going now, great support from the board. We have the opportunity to restore that side of the building, to bring in tenants, maintain the integrity of the hangar. And I'm just glad to see this is moving along the way it is. So I want to thank you for your
movement on this, and let's get it fixed and get tenants in there and take care of our assets. Questions, comments for Mr. Duker?
Mike, when we say a new roof, we're talking about a new roof covering. We're not talking about replacing all of the 2x6 tongue and groove.
All the 2x6 that needs to be replaced will be. So it's replaced as necessary. So anything, they're going to basically do like a load test on it. If it doesn't hold up to the test or there's clearly visible rotten wood, it will all be replaced as necessary. That's included in this bid.
And
So we're demoing 3 roofs.
The bid included all required tongue and groove.
Correct.
So
we're getting a sound structure and an entire new roof.
Okay. Yeah, you answered my question, but it's not all the decking. It's decking as needed, but it'll be a completely new membrane on top of that.
Correct.
With gutters and roof edging and...
Correct.
Yeah. But it's still going to be a flat roof. There's no...
It will be pitched. It'll be a slightly pitched roof.
And is that due to what goes on top of the existing... Is the roof pitched already, or is it flat?
It has a slight pitch to it already to get it away from the hanger wall because it goes vertical on
Will that be increased
elevation.
any with this new roof?
I don't recall. I believe it was a slight increase. Our township engineer reviewed it and recommended that this was the proper setup. From what I recall, I believe it was a slight increase in the pitch to help drainage.
Okay, thanks.
Other comments from Mr. Duker? All right, with that offer, those in favor of, let's see. Okay, awarding a change order for the east side of Hangar 1 roofing contract with Holbrooks Roofing Company at a cost not to exceed an additional $51,525, plus the 10% contingency of $5,152. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Not offered? Good work, Mr. Duker. Thank you.
I hope that will be the last change order you'll see. Everything else in the project is tracking along pretty nicely. So,
very good.
Thank you.
Just a quick question is, do we have any activity as far as tenants?
I do currently have one lead on a tenant. It's a resident that just moved to the island, potentially for the upstairs unit. So we will begin some discussions with them as the building, they're on top of the building, constantly watching the construction and interested. So hopefully we'll have some tenants lined up and ready to go as soon as the building's done.
Good.
All good news. All right, moving on to
Thank you.
Mr. Posias. Thank you, Mr. Duker.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Action item number 9 is a proposed recommended action to authorize the installation of the water fountain donated by the Island Roadrunners, subject to the Township Board approval of November 25th, 2013, installed at the northwest corner of the intersection of Midway and Grow Road.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Posias, supported by Trustee Bundy.
The proposal, sir, is just to kick it in gear. Let's get it installed. We like it in certainly sooner rather than later. The folks from the Island Roadrunners are anxious. They're asking, where's our fountain? When are we going to put it in? And they would like to see it put in. Our BPAC is just as anxious trying to get it done, and we're trying to sell bricks. We have several different proposals for selling bricks, and one of those proposals I sent to each and every one of you, looking at your wallets, please. The objective here is just to get the fountain installed and running. That's what it's there for.
Okay, I'll go on just a little bit. I don't want to use the word ambush, but that was probably pretty close, by 3 members of the Island Roadrunners this afternoon, and they're excited. They've been halfway through some other marathon they were running, and they're interested in getting in as soon as possible. We kicked around some ideas for selling the bricks also. Jane Fajal, on your commission, I believe, Mr. Bozak?
Jane Fajal, yes.
Jane Fajal, I'm sorry. Already ambushed me at Island Fest, so I am buying my brick through her. But, your recommendation for the trustees, the members of the board to participate also, I will ambush them when necessary. So I'd like to see this move along, and a great addition to the township. And for everyone out there, it's an opportunity for you to have a mini memorial to anyone, anything you please, at a cost between $50 and $100. These bricks last relatively forever.
Mr. Supervisor, those bricks will be a great present to people. And to memorialize a loved one or a significant date, or, something like congratulations on your graduation, but the student loans are all yours, son. Love, Dad. There's enough room on the brick to do that. Do what you want with it, but it's really a nice place. Not very many places where you can memorialize forever something from you that the rest of the township will see. The Roadrunners, great group, and they are anxious to put a dedication plaque on it. And I have a company that can roll that plaque to fit the OD of the fountain. So work is ahead of us. And how many times I've told members of this board how the BPAC is like herding cats and hard to hang on to. They are gung-ho to get this done. So help me out. Keep me from getting skinned by this group, right?
Thank you, Mr. Posiask. Any other questions, comments for Trustee Posiask?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do, sir.
Mr. Molesto.
Mr. Posiak, I was wondering, on the corner of Church and Meridian, the drinking fountain there, if it would be possible to somehow retrofit a pet watering bowl at the bottom. The reason I ask this is because when I first saw the drinking fountain that we're going to install here at the airport, I wondered how the dog was going to reach the button so he could get a drink. Well, I found out how that works. I was watching a rather large brown boxer drinking out of the water fountain at the corner of Church and Meridian, and he didn't have any problem pushing the button. And I would just ask the owner not to let that happen again.
And I'd second that, but as far as retrofitting, I don't know who the maker of that fountain was. Or if
all right, sir. I had a reason for saying this, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Molesto. Other anecdotes, stories, comments, questions?
I'm surprised it was a boxer, not a pointer.
Well, and with that, with no additional commentary, those in favor of authorizing the installation of the water fountain donated by the Island Roadrunners, subject Township Board approval, which we will be doing now, of November 25th, 2013, at the northwest corner of the intersection of Midway and Grill Road, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. Once the funds are available, we'll get to work on installation.
The funds are available, sir.
Well, let's get installing. All right, with that will conclude our action items. And from there, all right, we will defer the discussion items to later in the evening. Let's move on to the clerk's report.
Mr. Supervisor. Hello? Yeah. There we go. So we do have an election coming up on August 4th, and most of the clerk's report pertains to that. So the last day to register to vote in order to be eligible for the August primary election will be July 7th. Absentee ballots will be mailed out to registered permanent absentee voters by June the 30th. Voters qualified to vote absentee ballot may obtain a ballot upon written request in person or by mail beginning this week and continuing until 2 p.m. on August the 2nd. They may also vote absentee in person at the clerk's office until 4 p.m. on Monday, August 4th. Qualifications for absentee voters are people 60 years of older, people who expect to be absent from the community for the entire time the polls are open, people who are physically unable to attend the polls without assistance, people who cannot attend the polls because of tenets of religion, people who have been appointed as election inspector at the precinct other than where you vote, or because you are confined to jail awaiting trial or arraignment. Applications are being accepted for election inspectors. It's an all-day position. And receiving board inspectors, which operate in the evening from 7:30 until approximately 11 p.m. Please call Sharon or Brian in the clerk's office during regular business hours for more information. And that concludes it for the clerk's report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Witt. Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Supervisor, for the month of May, Grosse Ile Township had a total of $9,121,706 invested in various accounts. If you'll go to my treasurer's website, you can get a complete listing of those accounts and a breakdown of all the investments. Go on to grocio.com and on the Treasurer's website. 2014 summer tax data has been received, and tax bills will be mailed out by the first week in July. Due to the date for the summer tax bills, the due date for summer tax bills is September 15th. All property owners will be mailed the original tax billing. Mortgage companies requesting bills for escrow accounts they hold are mailed duplicated copies of these billings. If you are unsure that your mortgage company has requested your tax bill to pay, please contact the Treasurer's office to confirm that. Those who qualify and may apply for a deferment of the 2014 summer tax bill due date, this deferment will extend the date of September 15th, 2014 to February 16th, 2015. Please contact the Treasurer's office for inquiries or to receive a deferment form. The deferment form, which shows the qualifications, is also on our Treasurer's website at grocio.com. I don't believe we've got another meeting this month for the Commerce Park Commission, so that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We'll move on to the trustee reports. Ms. Posiask.
I'll be very brief tonight in deference to the load we've already seen. We have a meeting tomorrow night of Greenways Open Space, and it's at 7 o'clock p.m., and you were all invited. End of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Posiask. Mrs. Smith.
No report, thank you.
Mr. Modesto.
No report this evening.
Mr. Budney.
No ZBA meeting tomorrow, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, one and all. I'll move on to, I guess, onus is on me to be quick also. Supervisor reports. Odds and ends going on. The island-wide garage sale that Mrs. Canope is orchestrating. We have people signing up. I know she'll get busy the last few days, but we have a sign-up form that looks like this. It'll tell you how to contact her. You can always call her at her office, extension 210, and she'll fix you up. Household hazardous waste collection, June 28th at the Wayne County Community College in Belleville. We have flyers for that in the back of the room. That's for the hazardous waste, the stuff that you couldn't sneak into, dump the junk, so take it to the proper disposal location. Good news, Concert on the Commons beginning this Sunday, June 29th, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. There's a schedule. There should be, if there are none at the back of the room, there's some down on the desk at the assessor's office, and a few other places we'll have in Township Hall with the schedule of the concerts. Great fun at Macomb Commons. 4th of July holiday, all township offices will be closed on Friday, July 4th for the 4th of July holiday. Offices will be open on Thursday, July 3rd, and Monday, July 7th from 8 to 5 p.m. Wishing you to have a happy and safe holiday. And that concludes Supervisor's report. Township Manager, Mr. Riem, do you have any comments, additions, anything? Is any stone left unturned at this point?
Nothing further to add, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Dale. Mr. Riem. At this point, we'll move on to discussion items, and we have two on the agenda, and I'll request Mr. Posiask to initiate.
Thank you, sir. This is the first of two. It's the purchase of a mower. It's per the recommendation of the Public Services Supervisor, John Keim, and supported by BPAC at their last meeting on June 17th, that we purchase a Husqvarna P260 mower, a 60-inch cutting mower, to replace the existing 2004 New Holland mower.
Okay, I guess some of the background is I'm sorry.
I thought you wanted a second.
Oh, we're not. Discussion.
Okay. Right, fine, for discussion.
So if you want to continue, I will...
Be happy to. The New Holland has been used for 10 years. It's used out. It's worn out. It's frequently breaking down and needing repairs over and over again. Couple that with the fact that our bike paths have grown significantly in their length. Couple that with the fact that the county, which used to do a little mowing around here, doesn't do very much anymore. And when they do, it's infrequently. These are all contributors to wear and tear on that old New Holland, and it's time for a new horse. We have to keep the bike paths looking neat and clean, and the New Holland should do that.
We we had maintenance expenses, what do we have, $2,000 this year to bring the New Holland up to speed, and that will only be more expensive next year. We will have the ability to keep that in a maintained reserve status, but it's just at the point where we can't count on it for reliable continued use.
Hard to get parts after 10 years.
Mr. Treasurer.
Well, is the funding for this coming from the DPS or from the...
We're going to get the funding from bike path maintenance funds and DDA. DDA is meeting this week. We're negotiating splitting the cost of the mower between the two of us. DPS is not funding any of this.
But you haven't got that anchored yet? Okay, good.
The split is not handled yet. That's correct.
Then the split will be based on a usage rate. We'll run the linear miles, if you will, of bike paths that'll be cut.
I guess the point of this resolution, frankly, is to get the word to Ralph's to order the machine. We're going to buy it. We don't know which pocket, how much is coming from, but I think we're going to buy it, and that just accelerates the process.
The cost will be split proportionally based on amount of cutting. So the DDA, we know we have about 2 running miles that we cut along Macomb Street. If there's anything beyond that, we'll investigate it. We're determining how many miles of bike paths.
It's in excess of 10.
And we'll portion the cost accordingly, and we'll keep the grass trimmed and the island looking good.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's well overdue.
What's the warranty?
Nothing to do with this.
Husqvarna's warranty is, I believe, 2 years.
Okay. And then is there a reason why 60 versus a 72-inch deck?
The existing New Holland is a 60. A 72 gives you a nice wider cut, but it doesn't fit in some places.
That's true, too.
Okay. Other comments? Other discussion, general discussion? All right, I think we've got a good feel for where that's going. Let's move on to the second discussion item. I'll turn that to Mr. Bozak yet again.
All right. As you may recall, last year the Groseal Township was a recipient of a PAC award, a silver award, one of 2 awarded in the state of Michigan promoting active communities. This promoting active communities thing is a reflection on how friendly and how much our township is devoted to providing amenities for people who like to exercise. And whether it's biking, walking, whatever they like to do. The point that I'm saying this as background is we're in the midst of applying for this year's award, and we're trying to get the silver, which is really a nice step up. The silver award, one of the contributing factors to people possibly awarding that to us is because of the actions we're taking currently with the Complete Streets policy. Now, I put together a couple documents for you to read, and I expect that each one of you may wish to take some time to figure out this Complete Streets policy, but the thing that I'd like to point out is an excellent document put together by Brian Pollack, the last page. And it is pointing out why we should follow the Complete Streets policy. Number one, it doesn't cost us anything. Number two, it puts us in a better bargaining position, not only with the county, but with grants. And, when we're scratching and digging to try to find every dollar possible to fund our outside recreation things, it would be a little bit more of a feather in our cap to have a silver award, something no one else has. It's not binding, it's a resolution of guidance. Nothing in that resolution will force us into doing anything that we as a township do not wish to do.
I was, and I want to elaborate just a little bit, I was privileged, is the only term I can use, to accept the award in Lansing from the Governor's Fitness Award, where we were awarded the bronze level as a for promoting active communities. And the tenants you brought up are good. You know, we're competing for grants, and it's not costly. But for me, it's just an improvement in the community. I'm so proud of what we've done so far. I do my daily motorized inspection, pick one part of the township, and just drive around and see how things look. And now that the weather's broken, those bike paths are busy all the time. You can't look, hardly 50 feet goes by where somebody's running, jogging, riding a bicycle, just strolling. I'm just so proud of what we've done so far. I took my fellow supervisor of Plymouth Township on an island tour. I love showing the place off, and he was amazed at what we had done in terms of bike paths and the sidewalks we'd added. And again, he saw the same thing I saw. You know, they were busy. There were people on them up and down the streets, and it was, you know, we're both scratching our heads. How can we do more? What more can we do? So I'm real proud of the effort so far. It's just a great asset to add to the community. And looking back 50 years when all the subdivisions went in the 60s and 70s, and for some reason the mindset was, we don't walk anymore. You know, we'll drive. We have automobiles. We're not going to walk anymore. And I guess that was the viewpoint then. I think we're putting ourselves, well, we see the results, obesity and premature death. So great opportunities, great improvements to the community, and I'm just so proud of them. And yeah, whatever you need for me to get us towards the silver, I'm on board.
I would suggest that my fellow trustees and you take the time to look it over thoroughly, and we'll come back with it as an action item next time.
Very good. Other comments for Mr. Prozias? All right, with that, we'll conclude our discussion items. At this point, open it up to public comment. And we know the rules. 3 minutes, name, address, Mr. Delphi. Welcome back, Mr. Delphi.
Jack Delphi, 10321 Loma Circle. First, I have a comment, and this is about the memorial bricks. If I'm not mistaken, I saw them outside of the senior center in Trenton, right behind the library. And they're very attractive. If anybody wants to see them, they're there with a lot of the names. Second is a question I have about the Myosha penalty. Did I hear correctly that the original fine was about $40,000, roughly?
$59,500.
$39,500? $59,000, and it went to $29,000?
$29,750, cut in half.
Okay, just a question I have. What did our appeal cost us?
In terms of, the appeal doesn't cost just the filing fee.
Well,
but with the legal fees, we're still accumulating. This is we're almost at the end, but I don't have the total figures yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Delphi. Mr. Clark.
Oops. The plate on the bridge, I talked to Wayne County today, they said it's going to be a matter of maybe 2 weeks. They'll be able to do a reconstruction of the what's underneath it.
Okay. This is Mr. Clark, has a Park Lane address.
Okay, Park Lane, okay. Okay, Wonder Well, when are we going to level it and clean it up?
Okay, we cut the grass Friday.
Deadline's Friday.
This coming Friday.
Deadline for demolition is this Friday. If property owners don't do it, we'll do it for them and assessing the cost thereof.
What about knocking it down?
We will knock it down. Somebody's going to knock it down, either the owner or we'll do it at their expense.
When will that happen?
Probably by Monday, a week from today.
I'm gonna knock it down by Monday.
I have 2 contractors on hold, online.
Okay. How about all apartments? What's going on in all?
In the courts,
still are?
That is a much more complicated process because those parcels are intertwined with the other parcels along there. We can't make a clean separation. So if Mr. Osorio were here, he could give you more information on that.
I can give you a brief, Mr. Supervisor. It was before the judge a week or 2 ago, and I believe the judge gave the property owner 45 minutes to get some answers for something, or 45 minutes
to the next hearing to get some answers to some of the items. So it's in process.
It's a tedious process, but it is the process.
Jim?
No, not yet. Just posted.
Lincoln, 25-mile.
So just real quick on that one, I don't think we're going to replace Tim. We'll backfill Tim, but we're not going to replace him. We'll backfill Tim, but we're not going to replace him.
You're going to backfill him?
We just can't replace that guy. I mean, we can get somebody else in his position, but not yet, not yet.
Because man has big shoulders.
Okay. Blinking 25-mile-an-hour is going on.
Permanent fixture on Macomb.
I wish Joe were here. It's a movable, temporary, what's the term I'm looking for? It's a temporary installation.
Okay.
It was on Gray's a week or so ago. It's on Macomb Street today. I like it.
I do too. Slow down.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Boy, 8,300 people came across the border in 1 week. You can thank you-know-who for that.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Clark. Any other comments from the public present? With none offered, I will entertain a
Motion to adjourn.
second. Motion by trustee Martin, seconded by trustee Posias. Those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. Aye. I'll call the meeting adjourned at 9:36. Have a happy, safe 4th of July. Please fly your flags. We'll get as many flags on Macomb Street as possible. Fly your flags for the 4th of July. Thank you.
Do you have a picture copy for Lena?
Yeah.